I use AI every day for coding, for writing, for making these videos. It genuinely saves me hours. So when I saw a study that tracked 160,000 employees and found that after adopting AI, time spent working went up in every single category by up to 346%. I had to understand why. And then I found a Harvard study that made it even stranger. AI made beginners 43% better, but it made experts 19% slower. Same tool, opposite result. A group of developers was so sure AI made them faster, they agreed to be measured. The stopwatch told a different story. I'll come back to that. There are 3 things you need to see. Where AI genuinely wins, the trap nobody's talking about, and what separates the people who benefit from the people who burn out. Let's start with the win. In February 2025, Andrej Karpathy, one of the founders of OpenAI, coined a phrase that launched a movement, vibe coding. The idea? You describe what you want. The AI writes the code. You don't need to understand a single line. And it works. Y Combinator's latest batch had non-technical founders shipping real products, apps, SaaS tools, prototypes built entirely with AI. People who'd never written a line of code in their lives. If you've never coded before and AI lets you build an app, that's real. That's a genuine revolution. Going from zero to a working product is an infinite productivity gain. But here's the data that tells the full story. In 2023, Harvard and BCG ran a controlled study with 758 consultants. Below average consultants using AI saw a 43% improvement in quality. Above average consultants, only 17%. AI raises the floor more than it raises the ceilings. And that pattern shows up everywhere. The question is, what happens when you keep stacking AI tools on top of each other? Researchers at UC Berkeley spent 8 months embedded inside a tech company, watching 200 employees work with AI day after day. What they found wasn't what anyone expected. AI didn't save time. It intensified work in 3 specific ways. First, scope creep. Product managers started writing code because AI made it feel possible. Researchers took on engineering work. The boundaries of my job expanded. Second, temporal bleed. Work seeped into lunch, into the gaps between meetings, into evenings. Because prompting AI is frictionless, there was no natural stopping point. Third, cognitive overload. Workers ran multiple AI threads simultaneously. During meetings, during code reviews, during lunch. There's actually a name for this. In 1865, an economist named William Stanley Jevons noticed something strange. As steam engines got more efficient, coal consumption went up, not down. Cheaper energy didn't reduce usage. It expanded what was possible. The exact same thing is happening with AI. If the Berkeley study was qualitative, this next one is the sledgehammer. ActivTrak analyzed 443 million hours of work across 376 companies and over 10,000 employees before and after AI adoption. Every single category of work increased. Email time doubled, up 104%. Chat and messaging up 145%. Business tools up 94%. Weekend work up 40%. Not a single category went down. Not one. And here's the one that worries me most. The average focus session, uninterrupted deep work, dropped to 13 minutes and 7 seconds. A 3-year low. We're not just working more, we're working worse. How many AI tools are you using right now? Drop the number in the comments. I want to see if the pattern holds. BCG surveyed nearly 1,500 workers and gave it a name, AI brain fry. Mental fog, headaches, slower decisions. 14% of workers using AI reported it. The pattern is clear. Productivity rises when you add a second AI tool. It rises again, but less, with a third. After 3, it drops. Workers with brain fry reported 39% more major errors, 33% more decision fatigue, and 34% said they wanted to quit, up from 25% among those without it. Remember those developers? 16 experienced programmers agreed to a randomized trial. 246 tasks. They expected AI would make them 24% faster. The actual measurement? 19% slower. And even after completing the study, they still believed AI had sped them up by 20%. Let's zoom out. In February 2026, the National Bureau of Economic Research surveyed 6,000 executives across 4 countries. 90% said AI has had no impact on their productivity or employment over 3 years. MIT found that 95% of enterprise AI projects show no measurable return on investment. Goldman Sachs reports only 19% of US companies have even adopted AI, and yet $500 billion will be invested this year. $500 billion. 19% adoption. 90% no impact. The economist Robert Solow said it in 1987 about computers. You can see them everywhere except in the productivity statistics. He could have written that sentence today about AI, but here's the thing. The 19% who do adopt, Goldman Sachs says they see 23 to 33% productivity gains. So someone's getting it right. What are they doing differently? So why does AI save me hours? I've been thinking about this since I read these studies. And the answer is in that BCG data. AI helps the most when you're doing tasks outside your core expertise. When I use AI for video editing, for writing narration, for building tools I couldn't build alone, I'm the novice. That's where the 43% gain is. That's where vibe coding thrives. Maximum leverage. But when experts use AI for work they already know deeply, the METR study showed what happens. AI suggestions interrupt your flow. You spend time reviewing, correcting, reprompting. The overhead exceeds the savings. Korn Ferry's head of AI strategy said it perfectly. Capturing time savings requires redesigning jobs. That's not happening organically. People aren't redesigning their work. They're just adding AI on top and wondering why they're exhausted. Here's what the productive minority actually does. 1. They use AI for tasks where they're the novice, not the expert. 2. They cap their tools at 2 or 3 before brain fry kicks in. 3. They define what they won't do with saved time to prevent scope creep. 4. They treat AI as a tool, not a coworker. Has AI actually saved you time or just changed what you spend it on? I want to hear your honest answer. Remember those developers? 19% slower, and they still felt faster. They're not unique. That perception gap shows up across every study. BCG, Berkeley, ActivTrak. People feel more productive with AI. The data says otherwise. Not because AI doesn't work. It does. But it works differently than we think. It's not a productivity tool. It's a capability equalizer. It lets you do things you couldn't do before, but it doesn't make you faster at what you already know. So the real question isn't, is AI making you productive? It's, where on the curve are you? And are you using AI where it actually gives you leverage? Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't seen how AI is reshaping the job market, watch this next.